In other news, PSA has graded a Pokemon card that legitimately has a big old dick drawn right on the card in permanent marker. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. You're watching the channel Dr.Applesauce 2. My name's Will. It's another beautiful day here in Texas. Hope you guys know that I love you, God loves you, and that there is an awesome plan for your life. Today we have a really interesting story coming out of PSA. Now, we have a lot of interesting things going on in the Pokemon card community, specifically the Pokemon card grading community. But there's this weird mentality that PSA is the absolute best and they can do no wrong. And I have seen so many crazy things happen with PSA cards. And we have a story today where PSA legitimately graded a card and gave it a PSA 8 that had a big old penis drawn on the front of it in permanent marker. I'm not kidding you. Check this out right here. We have right here an Alolan Persian GX, and you think, look at that Persian. He's got a nice pair of glasses on. Nope, those aren't glasses. That's a big old schlong drawn right on the top of the card. You might say, well, maybe that was drawn right on the case. Well, if you look closer at this picture where they actually turn it sideways, you can see if it was drawn on the case at this angle, you would be able to see it on top of the case, but it's clearly below the plastic. You can see right there, clearly it's below the plastic. And this was originally, I found this on Twitter and it kept making its rounds, and I decided that I wanted to make a video on it because it's just so hilarious. And it's brought to us by Japan to UK. I'm not sure if that was the Twitter page that posted it, or if that was the place that like actually did the middleman or the submission or what have you. But this is something that, like, this is beyond the pale. How did this card get through grading and actually get graded? How much attention, this is the big question, right? How much attention are PSA graders actually paying to the cards that they're grading? All of the grading services, you're gonna make mistakes. There's always a margin for error for mistakes, right? And I understand PSA makes mistakes, CGC makes mistakes, Beckett makes mistakes, they all make mistakes, and that's fine. But what I'm challenging here, guys, I'm challenging the default opinion that PSA is the best, that PSA is the gold standard. No, they are not the best. They are not the gold standard. They are just the most popular, and because of that popularity, they get the highest prices. But they clearly are fallible and make mistakes just like all the other companies, even to the point where it seems like you see a lot more mistakes coming out of PSA than other companies. I don't know, that probably can be attributed to because they're probably grading a lot more cards than other companies, so you're going to see a lot more issues. People are probably a lot more scrutinizing of PSA cards, but the fact remains, you got this big ol' Alolan Persian right here with a giant schlong drawn right on its face. How did that happen? How did somebody legitimately, they have this card, they're like, okay, we got our card. Look, it looks good. Oh, look, Persian's got some nice glasses on right there. Very nice. He's got some glasses. Very cool. We'll give it an 8. How does that get past the grader? What type of assurances can we have as collectors that want to submit to PSA for grading if something like this is going to get through the cracks? There's been many other stories that I've seen where people will get cards back from PSA. They're graded 4s and 5s. They'll crack them, and there's nothing wrong with the card. If something's supposed to get a 4 or 5, there should be significant damage to that card. I've seen so many situations where that's happened so many times. I've seen the inverse, where somebody gets a PSA 10 and it has whitening and scratches all over it. And just, you gotta, like I said, none of the companies are perfect, right? None of them are going to ever, never make a mistake. They all make mistakes, and that is fine. Again, I'm not saying that PSA is a bad company. I am challenging the mentality that PSA is the best because they're the most popular. They are not the best because they are the most popular. I said this on Instagram the other day. PSA is not the best just because they're the most popular. You got Bud Light, Coors Light, and Miller Lite. They're some of the most popular, best-selling beers in America. Yes, they are some of the worst tasting and worst quality beers in the world. They're not popular because they're the best. They're popular because they were the first to do it and do it well. PSA is popular because they were the first to do it and do it really well. Now we have options. And here's something that's really interesting. So we'll take another look at this card. So you got the Alolan Persian right here with the big old Jimmy Johnson right on the front of his face looking like a pair of glasses. And the really interesting thing is that PSA intentionally deactivated the certification of this number. You can look at the certification number on the front of the card, and you can look at it, and then you can look it up. PSA deactivated this. Now, the rumor in the speculation is they deactivated it without telling the owner without telling anyone. It was just immediately deactivated so that people couldn't look it up any longer. That to me tells me that PSA realized, oh crap, we made a huge mistake, and they deactivated the certification number. Now, again, I will say mistakes happen, right? These companies are going to make mistakes. I personally choose not to grade with PSA for my personal opinion because I've seen so many inconsistencies with PSA. I will grade with Beckett, CGC, or AGS way before I'll grade with PSA, and it just depends. If it's just something that I want for my personal collection, I'm likely to grade with AGS because they will do a robotic grading and I can get scans and really see why the card is the graded that it is. If it's something that's really, really rare and really valuable, I'm more inclined to grade with Beckett because Beckett is, I can go drop my cards off with Beckett. I'm about 30 minutes away from Beckett, and that kind of leads my decision-making process in that, right? And so the purpose of this video isn't to say that PSA is bad or garbage or it's worse or better than the others. It's to say that PSA is not the best because they're the most popular. We have options now, and hopefully we'll come down the line where this seemingly lackadaisical approach to grading mass volumes of cards by PSA, where we're getting tons of things like big old drawn on top of cards and they still get graded. Hopefully this will cause PSA to tighten the reins and do a little bit of a better job. But the purpose of this is, one, to point out something that's honestly quite hilarious. How do you grade a card that has a drawn on the front of it? Alolan Persian doesn't have glasses. We got Alolan Persian with some spectacles with a Johnson hanging off the front of it. Like, come on now. Somebody was clearly asleep at the job. And again, I say that's okay. They all make mistakes. This is just to challenge the mentality. PSA is not the best because they're the most popular. They clearly make mistakes. They clearly aren't perfect. PSA is the most popular because they were first. That doesn't mean they're the best option out there. And as always, when you're buying graded cards, you should buy the card, not the grade. Look at the card that you're buying, even if it's inside of the case. See if you like the way it looks. Make sure there's no inconsistencies, because we've seen all companies tend to make mistakes from time to time, and you want to buy the card, not the grade, and grade with whatever you want. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just trying to challenge this mentality again. Like I said, I think this story was hilarious. I want to know what you guys think. Drop me a comment down below. Let me know. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. It really, really does help the video do well. And like I always say, my friends, find somebody to love and serve today. Be the change you want to see in the world. See you next time.